Hey. Hi. We made it. Oh. All right. Great. How you doing, guys? That's not my guys. Isn't my name. My name's Hot Dog on a Stick. Did you get it? You got the chat working? Nice. Nice. Hey. Oh, someone's talking to me. What's up, Lay? What do you got? Kendra, it's Hot Dog on a Stick. You missed my last name. On a stick. Yeah. Hot dog on it. It's funny because the English language, I've talked to this about my brother before, it's so unique. The English language is one of the few languages in which we create our own verbs. And we create our verbs so often that people can recognize immediately what we're talking about. In other languages, if you try to verbify certain things, it doesn't work. But in the English language, you can verbify anything and people know exactly what you mean. You can turn a noun into a verb or an adjective into a verb. It's amazing. Like hot dog in it. I mean, you could be like, well, what's that mean? But you could be like, a lot of times, you know, you're just going to eat a hot dog. A lot of times, you know, you're just going to eat a hot dog. A lot of times, no, what are you doing today? We're doing potatoes. What about you? Oh, yeah, we're doing lasagna. What about you? Nice. Oh, yeah, we're doing lasagna. You know, we're lasagna-ing it. We're lasagna-ing it. We're lasagna-ing it. Yeah. Haha. There's a lot of Ryan's talking. My name's Hot Dog on a Stick. Dang it. Who's Ryan? Can you guys hear Joe? If not, I'll tell you how to set it up.
I know what to do. I know how to do
Okay.
it. I know how to do it. We're gonna do that, and then that should do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, can they hear you?
Ta-da! I win.
Ta-da!
Okay, we made
Did you
it.
get it?
We made it. Hey guys, it's great to see
Hey.
you. It's Don't Muddle Monday. Now you guys can hear me. I'm the host of the show.
There we are.
And there's not all the echoes. I can make the echoes if you want. That was fun, wasn't it?
Wasn't it fun, guys?
Wasn't that fun to hear
Wasn't
all the echoing of the
funnest?
Ryans?
Hot Dog on a Stick. Get my name right.
Oh, yes. Well, welcome, everybody. Princess Joe is messing it up and fixing it up. That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
I am the best at messing things up.
Messing things up, even
things
the
up.
words.
Yes.
But you can't fix something unless it's messed up. So that's part of Joe's actual secret attribute that allows him to be incredible. Is that, yeah, sure, he's good at messing it up, but he's also good at fixing it up.
Yes.
Which if you don't have that end of it, it's not nearly as good as a talent. It's like the secret hidden, talent that he's got.
Right.
That makes everything worth it.
And the thing is like you can't fix something unless it's messed up.
Right.
So
Right.
I would have no opportunities to fix things if I wasn't messing it up.
Yeah. How do you show how do you show you're a superhero unless you punch a guy in the face first and be like, oh, let me heal you, and then you heal him? Like, it's like, unless you cause a bank robbery, how are you going to show that you can stop one?
Right.
Right. So
there's no way. Like I have to mess things up in order to fix it. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. At any rate, guys, please let us know in the chat if there's any difficulties going on. I get to be the producer of the show tonight. This is the first time I've ever doing this, and yeah, Jesse's not with us, and he gave me all the stuff in order to do it, and so I'm trying, and hopefully it works, and hopefully it stays good for the whole time because we love you guys, and we would love to be here, and yes. So anyway. It's Don't Muddle Monday. This is a show where we handle any issues, challenges, topics, stuff that you might be going through. We just you can go ahead and post it in the chat. You can go ahead and post it like Princess says. You can drop it on our website, bss.studio. There's a link right there. You can email us, dww@bss.studio. Or again, you can post it in the chat. And yeah, we will do whatever we can. We're not professional therapists, counselors, policemen, lawyers, doctors, football players, apiarists, or anything of
Apiarist?
that nature. Yes.
What is an apiarist?
An apiar. Wow, that was probably a cool loud thing. That was your text message you just sent, Ryan. Did you hear that?
What?
Did you hear the doo-doo-doo-doo?
No.
Oh, good.
I don't have. Oh, your phone goes doo-doo-doo.
No, my
When
computer
I text
does.
messaged. Oh, your computer goes doo-doo-doo?
Yes, because
When you get a text message.
Yeah, because my text messages go to my computer as well as my phone. So
Really? How did
that
you
way.
set that up? I might have to set that up on mine. That's cool.
It's a Google thing because I have a Google phone.
Ah, so do I. Okay. Well, I'll look into that because that's cool.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
use my computer more than I use my phone, so maybe might as well.
Yes.
The messages come there, right?
Yes. But an apiarist, you know what? Anybody in the chat know what an apiarist is? Somebody's got to know what an apiarist is.
If you guys know,
somebody's gonna Google it real quick. I will tell you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I believe an apiarist is a professional beekeeper.
No, I was right.
It's not. What's an apiarist?
Someone who studies apes.
What?
Yeah, the purity of apes. Ape purities.
Ape purities.
Yeah. Really? It's like a beekeeper?
Yeah.
An apiarist is a beekeeper. How do they come up with that name? Is it like arrow? So like they fly because
probably came from a different language other than English.
Yeah, definitely not English. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like rolling up the window. Whoever does that anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You push a button.
Everyone has electronic.
It goes up.
Yeah.
Nobody
right.
rolls the window up anymore.
I mean, some people that have old cars, but most people don't. Yeah. Apiarist, beekeeper, farmer, granger, husbandman.
Look at this.
Husbandman.
We've got all the information here in the chat. Look at this. Princess and Gyrospspace Tech. Latin. Apis. How do you pronounce that in Latin? I don't know. You think I would be able to pronounce Latin, since I became Catholic a few years ago. I should be able to,
Yeah, no, it doesn't just let you. Trust me, I have problems with it too, and I've been Catholic my entire life. So
you're supposed to know Latin.
Yeah, Latin doesn't just like automatically come, unfortunately. Neither does Hebrew to someone who becomes Jewish.
All right. Yes.
It's rough.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I was totally unprepared with our topics here, but I'm gonna get them up right now. So we're gonna have those there. So anyway, yeah, we're not professionals. We just want to help you out. We want to pull up alongside you and be your friend. Do whatever we can to offer some love and encouragement and perspective along the way. We know you're smart enough to figure these things out on your own. However, sometimes it's just nice to have some friends to go through that journey with you. And we want to be those friends because we love you guys. We love being with you. We love hanging out. We love doing this show. We love doing all the shows we do on the Don't Muddle Monday, Don't Worry Wednesday, Don't Fret Friday, Double Cup of Joe, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We're going to come up with another show that starts with D because all of them start with D, apparently. So, yeah. So, at any rate, we just want to hang out, have a good time, and looks like we have some topics here and some people here. What do you think? Should we go for a topic?
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
I didn't ask how you were doing yet, though, Ryan. How are you?
Who?
You.
Oh, me. I thought you said Ryan. My name is my name is Husband now. Husbandman. I've changed it from Hot Dog on a Stick to Husbandman.
Your name is now Husbandman.
Yeah, apparently that's one of the form of farmers. So you have apiarist, you have farmer, granger, beekeeper, husbandman, and sodbuster.
Sodbuster, man.
I like those two.
Yeah.
Both of them sound like superheroes.
Yeah, sodbuster.
Anyways, yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Great. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I got a little bit of a sunburn.
Oh, did you?
And I get to sit on a pillow. Super excited. Yes. Pillows are nice.
Pillows are nice. Why are you sitting on a pillow right now?
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
we actually my in-laws bought a pool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of those like a 4-foot deep, 18-foot around, set it up and tear it down every summer pool.
Got it. Okay. I was tempted at first to ask about finances, and then I figured let's not get into that. But I know the answer.
It was
So,
not a super expensive one, but
okay, that's good. That's good.
yeah.
So it's one of those like that are on the metal poles.
Yeah, you got the metal poles that go around, and it's
Okay,
just the
that's
liner and
cool.
holds it
That's
up and
cool.
stuff, just something because we can't go. We have gym memberships that we can't use, and
Right.
that's
And
why
so
we had it. It's
that's
for the
actually
pool
really,
there.
yeah, that's a really good idea.
So yeah. So
And
anyway,
that's
so
cool. And did you get a chance to go swimming in it, or
no, I
just
got
like
the
watch the
chance
kids
to
do it?
set it up.
Oh, okay.
I got the chance to shovel a bunch of sand.
Nice, nice.
And my little
Oh, great.
8-year-old, he was helping. It was so great. Like
Who
it
was?
probably actually both my sons were helping shovel
Oh,
the sand. You
awesome.
know, we had all this sand to put down for the underneath it, right? And make it nice and soft to walk on and everything. And and so they go and get all this big old like trailer full of sand, and we're like shoveling it into wheelbarrows and carrying it and everything. And my 8-year-old, he's got his shovel and he's doing it. And he's taking as much as he can and working really hard. And he's like, man, this is hard work. Like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Good job, buddy. You're doing awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, no, like the fact that he's 8, right? The
Yep.
fact that he was doing anything at all is super impressive.
Yep.
I know how. I remember when I was 8, I was shoveling stuff too, but usually it was for fun, like digging holes and stuff, just for fun because you can dig a hole in your yard, and then get in trouble for it later. So, but
Yes.
you can. But I remember also, like, when you're shoveling snow at that age, it's really difficult. When it's actually like you have to do it for like a job, and you have to keep on doing it over and over and over, and you just get worn out, especially that age. Yeah, that's impressive. I'm impressed.
You did
It's
good.
a lot of work.
Both those boys, they shoveled sand in the hot sun. They helped
Nice.
build the pool. We got it all built. Now it's currently filling and filling and filling. It's going to take a while to fill. Because it's
Just at it. I mean,
it's
obviously,
like
we should.
7,600 gallons of water going in there. Big.
Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome, though.
Yep.
All right, yeah, let's get to a topic.
Yes, let's do. Thank you. So anyway, all right, I'm going to go through the list of names that we have on here. If you hear your name, give a what's up with your mom and dad in the chat, and we'll do your topic. So anyway, we have Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, Cherry, and Kendra. And that's what we got. And I'm pretty sure I saw Kendra. Hey, what's up with your mom and dad? We got Kendra.
Nice. We got to get what's up with your mom and dad in the chat.
Yeah, we got it. So, yeah, I think that's probably. I think you're the only one I see so far. So we should do Kendra's topic.
It's a great one to start with. Let's do it.
Let's do. Let's get a. Oh, Princess got the link in there before me. Oh, she's so good.
Oh wow. Yeah, it is
so
a lengthy one, but that's totally fine.
Okay. You know what? I love that
Princess
because
is prepared,
that means we get to hear Princess's beautiful voice for a long time. I'm excited.
Yeah, she doesn't get to talk enough on this show, so if you guys could make longer posts, that would be really nice.
Yep, please do.
Just kidding, but
so yeah, this is called The Pain and Loss of a Loved One. And those of you who were with us on Friday, you probably saw in the chat that that Kendra lost her uncle, and it was, that's definitely a difficult time. So our thoughts and our prayers are with you, Kendra, and so I will turn it over to Princess, and she can read the topic.
Hey everyone! I wanted to first thank you all for your thoughts and prayers for my family during this difficult time. As you all know, my uncle passed away recently. I would like to explain to everyone what happened, as I need to get this off my chest so I can come to terms with everything, and I'm sorry in advance of how long this is. A few months ago, my uncle was diagnosed with farmer's lung, which is basically a type of pneumonia that you can't get rid of and is terminal. The doctors gave my uncle only 2 to 3 years to live. Eventually, my uncle would have ended up bedridden and relying on an oxygen tank, unable to leave his home. I can tell you this much. He wouldn't have been my Uncle Gene anymore, meaning that he wouldn't be the same. He was the kind of guy to go out and get on a tractor and mow the lawn with his grandson on his lap and tell jokes and tease you. He would always give me crap about having a boyfriend and being like, oh, come on now, you're just hiding it from us, admit it, or where's your boyfriend at? The deacon at our church, Deacon Ken, was my uncle's best friend as told by him. They would razz and joke with each other, and it was funny to watch. My Uncle Gene suffered from a heart attack 3 weeks ago on a Wednesday early in the morning. His brother and sister-in-law had stopped by for a visit on their way home. I was told by my parents that my aunt feels guilty for not taking my uncle to the ER sooner. My uncle had been complaining of what he thought might have been heartburn, and my aunt had made an appointment with the clinic for that afternoon. My aunt and uncle visited with his brother and wife for a while and went out to the garage to say goodbye. As my aunt turned to go back into the house, my uncle called her name and he fell to the ground face first. My aunt called my uncle's brother and wife back in, and they performed CPR on him while my aunt called 911. My parents got the call about what happened around 10 a.m. The ambulance arrived, and they used shock pads to get his heart going again. They had to airlift him to the hospital. When I got home from work, we found out that he had 99% blockage of one artery and 77% blockage in another. They put 4 stents in the 99% and put him into an induced coma to let my uncle rest and see how he does before they did anything to the 77%. They waited a couple of days and they tried to get him out of it, but he wouldn't respond. My uncle's eyes were fluttering, but they weren't because he was trying to wake. It was because he was suffering from multiple mini seizures, all thanks to the lack of oxygen to his brain. The doctors told my aunt to sign a DNR, as it was likely that as soon as they took him off the breathing tubes and sedatives, he would suffer from many seizures, and even if they revived him, the damage to his brain would have worsened. We all knew as soon as they said he wasn't responding that he was gone. My mom figured, though, that as soon as my uncle's head hit the floor, he was gone. He wasn't Uncle Gene anymore. And that is what saddens me the most, is that if he had made it, he wouldn't be himself. As soon as we found out... Sorry, I lost my spot. As soon as we found out what had happened, we prayed for him and lit a candle. Every night I prayed to God to help my Aunt Cindy get through this and give her the strength, and to take all my strength if she needed it. I prayed that my Uncle Gene would be okay and that he wasn't feeling any pain. And I believed my prayers were answered. My Aunt Cindy's children and grandchildren all went to the hospital, and they stayed with a relative that lived near there. I believe that my aunt's children, along with the priest that came to do the anointing of the sick on my uncle, gave her the strength she needed. On June 5th, when Deacon Ken asked my aunt if he could come up and pray over him, and when my aunt told my uncle that it was okay for him to go, I think that's what gave my uncle the courage to go home to God and become one of his angels and to look over my aunt. As soon as the rosary beads were in his hand, 5 minutes later, he was gone, and he was no longer in any sort of pain. Yes, it is sad, and it hurts that he is gone, but I'm so glad I got to know him and to have him in my life. Typing out all of this right now, I'm in tears. Just like the first few days when I heard he wasn't waking up, because I knew deep down he wasn't coming back. I cried myself to sleep every night, and I was sure my aunt had been doing the same. I have a special connection with my aunt because she is my godmother, and it hurts me to know that her soulmate is gone. I know my aunt and uncle were soulmates because you could just feel it. You just knew. I went over to my aunt's and I gave her this painting I did. The painting was of the night sky with shooting stars and the moon full and bright with a white and black tree in front of the moon. She wanted to pay for it, and I decided that I was going to give it to her. Something told me to visit her, and when I got there, she was outside in her backyard, on the deck with my cousin Eric and his wife. I gave the painting to her, and she became emotional and cried about it. It took everything in me not to break down crying in front of her, because I wanted to be strong for her. She told me, and I quote, "I have such a lovely and talented niece." Thank you, hon. Every time I look at the moon, I will think of Jean. As we were talking, a monarch butterfly flew past us and landed on a lilac. She told my aunt, she told my, she, my, I told my aunt that if a monarch butterfly appears before you, it means that your guardian angel is nearby. She chuckled and said, "Jean is watching over me then. I've been seeing them a lot today." My aunt and uncle always got to church one way or another. If one of them was sick, they would stay home and watch church on TV. And once in a while, they would have their grandchildren with them, more specifically, River and Embria. River is only 5, but he was Grandpa's sidekick and did everything together with him. He has been asking about Grandpa, and Mandy and them are trying to figure out the best way for him to understand that Grandpa is not coming back. On Facebook, my cousin Mandy is angry and is blaming God for taking away her dad. This is a revised quote of hers. If he actually cared about us, he wouldn't let stuff like this happen. He should know that we need him more than him. I told her that with this war that is going on right now on Earth, God needs his strongest and most stubborn angels to help protect those that can't. My uncle was in so much pain here on Earth, and I know now that he isn't. Mandy's daughter Paige doesn't believe in God anymore because of all the bad things that have happened to her. And I want to tell her that God gives you what you need in front of you. He doesn't give you what you want. The house that my family lives in now, we prayed to God about it. It didn't just happen in 1 year that we got our house. It took almost 5 years before our house was nearly finished and that we got to move in. My cousin Chelsea is more angry at herself than at God. She doesn't blame God, but she is mad at herself because she did not treat my uncle really well when she was younger. Eric, as far as I know, has had his head on straight and is thinking clearly. I understand that they are in pain, and I know how they feel, even though he was their dad and my uncle was Paige's grandfather. He was my uncle, which hurts me just as much. I have only one regret, and that is that I never got to hug him one last time. Once again, sorry that this is so long. I just really needed to let it all out. Thank you, everyone. My uncle's funeral will either be held this Thursday or on Friday. God bless you. Kendra.
Wow, thank you, Kendra, so much for that. And yeah, there's a lot in here, and I'm really glad that you took the time to write it because you really. I'm thankful for the descriptions and everything that's going on. It's really it's a tough situation. It sounds like it's being tough on a lot of people too. When we lose someone we love, even if we're people of faith and we know that they're not really actually lost, it's still when they're not here with us anymore. It's still painful, and it's still can cause us sadness and grief, and it's an interesting. It's a weird thing, and everybody kind of deals with it a little bit differently. Some people get angry, some people withdraw, some people just cry. I'm more the type of person, like when someone close to me dies, I usually just get quiet and tend to be by myself. That's that's how I am normally anyway, I guess. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. But at any rate, yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm so happy that you're a person of faith, that you realize that this isn't the end, that this is just a transition, and you'll be together again, and it's okay. It's just a temporary situation that you'll deal with for now. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because he is one of the most compassionate and wise men that I know. So, Ryan.
Oh,
take it away.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, this one, because I guess the things that you're worrying about are the people, right? Like the people that that are in the family, of course. Those people who've gotten angry at themselves or at God or other, that is tough. It's for me, I've been very, very, very fortunate in that I haven't really had anyone very close to me pass away. I'm 30 years on this planet and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm very fortunate. And so it can be hard for me to relate entirely to this topic, just because like I understand it. I can empathize with it to a degree. Like I totally understand, and it's totally reasonable to get upset about these things. I know that my personality, I would be like Joe probably. I would be one to recoil and not necessarily in just recoil in my sorrow and think about it by myself. Maybe talk to it about it with one or two people. I think sometimes though that can help the most. Having someone to really just let it out to can help ease that anger for those people. So if you, like you said, you have a couple of people who are angry, whether it be about them, like angry at themselves or at God, whatever, one of my best suggestions to you is to call them up and just have a conversation about, not like a conversation about how they're wrong or how they shouldn't be angry. That's not what the conversation should be about. Have a conversation about the person that was lost, remembering sometimes, just talking about the things that they used to do, talk about things that you liked about them, things that were blessings, that they, things that you really appreciated and stuff. Talk about whatever they want to talk about when it comes to that. Ask them what's going on in their lives and how they're doing. I'll tell you what, like sometimes when people are angry, the best way to help them out of it is not to talk about necessarily specifically about what they're angry about, because in the conversation that will come out, right? Because it's on their mind, they're angry, that's going to come out, right? And not to correct them or tell them they're wrong, but to allow them to get it off their chest really helps them calm their emotion. Just like you're typing here to get it off your chest, and it really helps a lot, right? Like you said, you can't help but cry when you type it out. And that's because part of you is letting it out, right? It's letting go. And then letting go, your emotions are allowed to kind of just be set free. And that kind of comes out in tears. Hold on. I have some sinuses things going on right now. Have you ever it's crazy. There is a hair stuck in the part of where your nose connects to your mouth, and that I forget what you call that, the tonsil. And there's a hair in there.
I don't have any problems with that since I shaved my head.
Not a hair going through my neck. What the heck, man?
Your hair's so long you could be like
Yeah, and it would still be attached to my head. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry.
Here we are in this serious conversation, and now we're getting all weird.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, ew. Anyways, so yeah, I would personally, I think one of the best things you can do, even if you don't know them very well, right? Even if you, like, these are your cousins and so on. Maybe you don't know them very well. You don't really talk to them much. But now is the time to do that, because now is a completely appropriate time to open up conversation with these people. This bad thing just happened. Whether you know them or you're close to them or not, they really need to talk. Joe says, had talked about this many times, but he has a friend who he called up on the phone. He's like, I don't know what to say. I'm really sorry, because his son died. And he didn't really have anything to say. He just called him up anyways. And the guy on the other side of the phone basically just said, you don't have to say anything. I just really appreciate that you called. I appreciate that you're here, And I'm sure during that phone call, he let out some of his thoughts and his frustrations and things like that, right? Yeah, and that helps a ton. So just opening up that communication can help calm people and make them less angry. Now, I mean, we can get into theology and all of that, and I might touch on that briefly, just for a moment. It's kind of interesting, on the notion of, if God was real, why would he allow this evil and stuff? Why would he take our Father away from me and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Totally understandable. It's interesting. What's his name? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had the same question when he was young. And he went to his pastor and said, if God was real, how come there's all this, how come there's people who are sick? How come there's people who are dying in other places because they're starving to death and things like that? And, the pastor didn't have a good answer for him. And at that moment, Steve Jobs no longer was Christian, and he wasn't Christian for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really sad because just because one question couldn't be answered, his faith was shattered. And that happens to people, especially in times like these where, all of their emotions are kind of taking over their logical side. Everything is up and, it's really difficult to not, it's really difficult to make those rational decisions when your emotions are tugging at you so hard because of a tragedy like a death. It's very difficult. So sometimes when things like that happen, logic is important, right? I mean, you can, if you can take some time, if the topic comes up, like I said, if you're talking to someone on the phone, don't make it the first point of conversation. Don't make it any point of conversation to tell them they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get stuff off their chest first,
mm-hmm.
But later, or, maybe in your next phone call, when you talk to them, once you've put them at a little bit more ease, call them up and the next day and talk a little bit more about it. Right. And during that conversation, if they bring it up, if they bring up God, you can bring it up. Just say, hey, I saw you said this, and I was just wondering why, is that like how you, is that what you feel? Do you still feel that way? And then, and they'll tell you if they do or they don't. And if they do, they'll expound upon it. And then you hopefully, if you are patient and calm with them, say, this is the way kind of I see it, and explain to them why suffering exists in the world, right? Why it's okay that people die, and all of the knowledge you have in that area. Now, some faiths don't have an answer to why there's evil in the world, or why there's, why there's pain, why that exists, and things like that. Why it looks like God is unfair and things like that, right? But being a Catholic, hopefully you do have those answers. I know that those answers should be pretty present to you. And if Joe wants to talk about that a little bit more, he can, because we're lucky to have a faith that does define that and explains that and the reasons behind it. But mainly, I just wanted to say, I think the best thing you can do for those people is to call them up, allow you share your emotions, and allow them to share theirs. It can really not only create a stronger friendship and bond, but it could also just, again, help clear their mind, help put them in a better place for the future, and get over this tragic time,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Joe, what would you like to say about this?
Well, everything that you said, I'd like to say, actually.
Just say everything I said.
So I will, including the part about the hair stuck in the back between your nose and your mouth and everything.
Yeah, and the part where you reference yourself, the reference Joe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kendra, I would go back and listen to what Ryan had to say multiple times. You are a unique individual, Kendra. Having gotten to know you over the time that you've been joining us on our streams and everything like that, I know that you're a person with a beautiful, beautiful heart, and a compassionate and caring heart, and someone who, when you talk about your family members and the different ways they're responding to this event, I can tell that it comes from a position of the fact that you love them and you care about them greatly, and you want them to be at peace with this whole thing. but they're going through their grieving processes, right? And that's one of the greatest things about them having you as a family member, Kendra, is that you are a person of great patience. And it seems to me, I know I haven't ever met you in person, but I've just read your text lines, and I've heard and I've seen you interact with people, and I know that you're a loving person.
Absolutely.
And
it shows so many ways.
Yeah. And that's what's critical in this time, for anyone. And for when you're dealing with anyone who's feeling this pain and grieving, the point is to just love. Love above any and all things. Love beyond any rules, love beyond any theological explanations, love beyond any life advice, love beyond all of it. And you naturally seem to do that, Kendra, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So if you just be you, I think you're going to be a great help to everyone around you. And I mean, you already have been. Just with your aunt, you went and you gave her a painting, and you went over and talked, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's part of that healing process. This grief, this pain we feel, pain is a part of healing. It really is. And we experience it as a way of healing from these wounds, because even though deep down, I mean, when you have a faith like we have, where it explains death, and you're like, okay, so I know what happens, I know what the explanation is here. So when we die, these next things happen, and we end up eventually being, with our Creator. And it's like, okay, so that's actually a good thing, right? So it's kind of like an upgrade.
The only reason your family's angry is because they're jealous. You're just like, man, I wanted that upgrade.
Exactly. Like, I'm not a sensitive person. I try to be. I'm getting better at it. But like, I can remember, like, we got nailed with death after death after death in our family, like a year or two ago, where we had, I don't know, like 4 people die, like real close to each other within a year. And we were all kind of getting a little desensitized to it, because it's like, hey, they're dying, they're sick, they're about to die, they're dying, they're ready to go. My one uncle, he was like excited about it. Yeah. I remember talking to him on the phone. He was pumped. He's like, yep, I'm out of here, man. He had, interestingly enough, 10 years prior to this, he had pancreatic cancer, which is really, really serious cancer, right? But they caught it right at the beginning, and they got rid of it. And so for 10 years, he lived after having pancreatic cancer. And so he was like, man, I've been on borrowed time for the last 10 years anyway. I'm ready to go. Let's go. So he's in hospice, and he was having a good old time there, right? But so my mom would come to me, and she's like, oh yeah, so and so died last night or whatever. And it finally got to the point after all these people were dying and everything, and I was just like, geez, lucky.
Yeah. That's great.
I know that's horrible. That's probably a horrible thing to say, right? But the point is, because death is not the end. And we know this, right? But it's not like, that's not something you can just go to somebody who's grieving and be like, hey, listen, blah, 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 blah. Like there's an element of compassion. Kendra, I see your update. I've had people say to me that I'm too sensitive. I'm hoping while I'm singing at his wake and funeral, I don't break down crying in the middle of singing. You know what? If you do, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely okay. Because what that does, I mean, you just do the best you can. If you end up crying and breaking down in the middle of a song, what it can do is it can give others, subconsciously, it will give them permission to cry. and to grieve and to heal through that.
To heal, right?
Because that's part of the healing process. And so if that's the case, it's still going to be a beautiful thing. So I am so proud of you for the way that you are, Kendra. I'm so glad that your family members have you to be around them, because I mean, you are going to help so many of these people and you're just going to be yourself and just being who you are. And just that alone is going to be such a great help to the people around you. And like I said before, everybody kind of responds to death in their own way. I grieve by going to be by myself and thinking, and a lot of times I'll go and try and find some place that's naturally beautiful, like a place in the woods or a beach or something like that. One of the greatest things that was happening when all of the family members that died, they all lived on the west side of Michigan, which is all right along the coast of Lake Michigan. So, anytime there's a funeral, it was a great, I could go right after the funeral and go sit on the beach and just watch the waves, just watch the sunset, the horizon, and just think about things like, now they're gone from this world and they're beyond where we are. And I think I was talking right before the stream started about, in death, my uncle, I got to talk to him on the phone before he died. I was so grateful for that phone conversation, right? And we talked, and he gave me all the life advice that he'd been saving up for me for however many years. And he told me all the things I needed to do. I needed to go into business with my brother because my brother's in the gasoline business, and so that's a really good, strong business. You need to move up there and go into business with him. And he gave me all this advice, right? But one of the things that I realized after his funeral, and I went and I sat and was just thinking, and I was like, I can still ask him to pray for me, and he's up there with God, so he's much closer than I am, and his prayers are much more powerful now because he's been clothed in righteousness now through his death, right? And so through that process now, he's much closer than I am. And I know he's up there praying for me. I know my other family members are too. And it's a beautiful thing. The relationship doesn't end at death. It becomes more powerful. And so we will be praying for you, Kendra, and we'll be praying for your uncle. We'll be praying for your family members, all of them. And they're all going to go through their own emotional wrestling match, their own unique time of grief. And your uncle will be praying for you, all of you. And, frankly, he got the good end of the deal. So, hopefully that's not too insensitive. But anyway, Kendra, just know that we love you. We're going to be praying for you. We'll be praying for you and your uncle and your whole family. And we love you. And it's, as Gandalf the White said in The Return of the King, as it looked like they were all going to die. And one of the hobbits said to him, I didn't think it was going to end here. And Gandalf looked and said, End? This isn't the end. It doesn't end here. Death is just another journey, one we all must take. And then he describes, from the story's point of view, what happens at death, right? And it's just a transition. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand it back to Ryan because I probably offended half of you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you did
really
offend
appreciate it.
everybody.
Absolutely. I was offended, and I don't ever get offended about anything. So yeah, this is my angry face. So enjoy it while it lasts. You don't get to see it very often. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to say was basically, to the comment of, I've had people say to me that I'm too sensitive. I'm hoping while I'm singing at his wake and funeral, I don't break down crying in the middle of his singing. Now, Joe commented on that, and absolutely, this world, we have all kinds of people, right? There's, and that's important. We need people who are very sensitive, and we need people who are just like, they seem to be insensitive, right? And incapable of sensitivity. And the world has both, right? Both of them are gifts. They're different gifts and for different purposes and different reasons, but they're both important. There was I know I've said this before, but it made an impact on me because I thought it was very interesting. At a conference, like a seminar that was being given, I forget what it's called, but it's named after a particular bishop. But I can't remember his name. Anyways, he had recently passed coming this conference, and this was many years ago. And they were talking about him and why they named the conference after him, because he's, and they do it every year, right? They named it after him because he's such an incredible person. One of the things that they said about him was that he would cry a lot. When he would go into prayer, a lot of times you would just see him start breaking down crying. And he's like, not even like talking about sensitive or praying about really sensitive things. He just becomes very sensitive about it. And he would sometimes cry when he's trying to give, talks, or when he hears of tragedy, he just starts crying. And it's a rare thing, because you don't usually see too many guys doing that. Especially, you tend to see it more on women, and that's not trying to be, neither side is weaker in that, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it's a gift. What they called it, they said he had the gift of tears, meaning that God blessed him with that emotional capacity. And I spoke before, I think it was last session or maybe 2 ago, maybe even 3 at this point, about how if we could experience the emotion that God feels when he has to judge us, right? Or if he was to send us to hell for whatever reason, right? The emotion is so intense, we would simply cease to exist. Our brains would just shut down, and the matter inside of us could no longer bear it, and it would just disintegrate into nothing. Like, that's how intense the emotion is. Kind of like things can be so shocking that you just die. You can be literally scared to death. You can be so sad that your body stops working. And this would be kind of like that. And so to feel the emotions as you do, understand that that is a gift, that you are being given that emotion. They say the Holy Spirit is, they refer to the Holy Spirit as often like the love of God, right? He is our companion. But one thing also they refer to the Holy Spirit is as almost the purity of emotion. When you are overcome by emotion, they say, a lot of times, like, she's just filled with the Spirit. And because the emotions of the Holy Spirit are incredibly intense, right? And so if you're not Christian or whatever, the Holy Spirit is just God. All right. To sum that up, Holy Spirit is a part of God that exists within us, and we define it as an entity, even though it's just really just God. To try to explain that in terms so that they make sense to you guys. But Yeah. So don't be ashamed of crying. Don't be ashamed of being sad. We need all sorts of different people in this world to make it the best world possible. Especially with the way things go. There's all sorts of tragedies, even things outside of human capabilities. Like, there's tragedies when it comes to just terrain. Sometimes the terrain does not yield and we have a famine. Sometimes you have sickness. Sometimes you have tornadoes. And to make this world the best possible, we need people who are sensitive. We need people who are really strong about certain issues. You meet people who are like, wow, that person is overzealous, or that person is really intense. And it's like, we might initially gauge them as like, that person is too aggressive. That person is too intense on this subject. They need to calm down. But at the same time, while that is true, they needed that emotional like push. We needed that emotional push of them to start really thinking about, how do we solve this problem in the world, right? Like, you have people like, during women's rights activists and stuff like that, during that time in that era of humanity, for America, there were people who were really intense, and that if it wasn't for them, right, things wouldn't have shaped up. And while maybe their tactics weren't wholly right entirely, maybe they could have chosen some better routes. If they did not make it an issue because they were being an issue themselves, we wouldn't have solved the issue, because everything would have just been like, it's okay the way it is, it's fine. So if you're the type of person that gets emotionally riled up, obviously still be holy, and I think that you are very good at that, Kendra. But it's okay to be sensitive. It is okay to cry and to really be compassionate about other people and really feel those emotions, because, like I said, I'm not very strong at that. And I find that a blessing in my life. But then I also find other people who are strong in that, and that's a blessing in their life. So with that, anyways, I just wanted to ease your thoughts there. Maybe change your perspective a little bit. So if you do start breaking down, right, it's okay, because that's a beautiful thing. And I think that no one, one of our worries is like, you break down while you're singing because you're singing about something important. And it's a really, really emotional situation, right? And you're singing out on stage. I think one of our worries is like, oh no, what are other people going to think of me? And at that moment, everyone's looking at you like, wow, she really cares. No one's going to be thinking, wow, that person is so emotional. I can't believe they started crying while singing. How, like, if anyone's thinking that, those thoughts don't matter. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
they're not
get
there
it.
for the right reasons. Right? So if you do, awesome. If you don't, awesome. Either way. Right? So I just wanted to say that to help ease your mind. But yeah, that's all I got.
Wow. Well, Kendra, yeah, I don't think I have much more. I just want to make sure that you know that we love you. I hope we've said that enough different ways. And we'll be praying for you and for your family and for your uncle. And if you don't mind, I'm going to ask him to pray for me. He doesn't know me, but now he probably does.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I mean, instead of, obviously you should pray for them, but also asking them to pray for us is equally, if not better.
Yep. Oh, you think you got a visit, huh? That's cool.
Yeah.
Those are some interesting experiences. I can remember one time a neighbor of mine, he passed away, and this was very interesting. Like, okay, so interesting. I was on TikTok using a filter, and a figure appeared in front of me on the video. Wow. That could be spooky or peaceful. I hope it was peaceful.
Yeah.
The filter only works if a person is in frame. Interesting. Wow. Hey, Who knows? The supernatural is all around us. I can remember a neighbor of mine. He passed away. He had a really hard time toward the end. He kind of lost his mind a little bit, and he was a veteran, and so some of the old, army stuff was starting to come back, and some conspiracy,
PTSD.
and there was some of that starting to come in to play, and
PTSD.
Yeah, it was a hard time. But I remember, he was very strong Christian throughout. I mean, he was just always very, very strong Christian. He loved the Old Testament, right? And I remember talking to him. Now, he was not a Catholic, but he was a Christian. And I became a Catholic not long before he died. And then I can remember getting this really weird sensation after he died that, like I'm just sitting there and I'm having a moment of peace. And then I just kind of had this feeling like, I looked up and I saw something that reminded me of him. And I got this feeling, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. And I was like, because it was like, it seemed like after he was gone, he was like, okay, it was just validated my decision to move forward in Catholicism. And it was interesting, but it could have just been hallucination, probably was, or bad gas.
It was bad gas. Gas was floating around in the air and it was bad.
Yep. But yeah. Okay. Kendra says it kept appearing anytime I said his name and when I sang or played a song. Wow. That's definitely something to take note of. And it just, honestly, I guess I should ask, were you afraid or did or was it a moment of peace and comfort for you? I guess would be my question, because I mean, I could see it going both ways, where it might be frightening, it might be kind of a combination of both, like, oh my, well, like, whoa, what is this? What is happening? And then you start to realize what might be the case. Okay. I wasn't afraid is a little bit of shock and comfort. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Yep. So yeah. So he's with you. He knows.
Mm-hmm. And
that's awesome that you felt comforted. I can remember a friend of mine whose wife died, and she was dying of this illness that she got from they were in a foreign country, and then she got sick and then really deteriorated fast and then ended up dying quickly. And he said as she was dying, they were in the hospital and he was with her and everything, and then all of a sudden he got this feeling, all of a sudden everything's okay. And it was like it felt like she came up behind me, put her hands on my shoulder. Now I'm looking at her body, right? Like she's there. And I was sitting there crying because, she had just passed. And then it was like, he felt her behind him and comforting him and saying, it's okay. I'm okay now. And, those are some crazy experiences. I had this book, I can't remember the title. I'd have to look for it, but it was actually written by a guy who runs a hospice place where, so he deals with people dying all the time, and he recounts conversations and their experiences, and as people are going through this, and just there's so many amazing stories of conversations people are having. It's like sometimes people have a guardian angel or a relative that they're actually conversing with, and it's so there is so much that goes on supernaturally that we do not see, and it's real. I am a firm believer that it's real, and I'm telling you, whatever happens, I hope that it can be moments of healing, moments of comfort, moments of peace, moments of helping you remember that even though these people are not visible to us anymore, that they are still there. We all still exist. It's just in a different form at that point. So Kendra says, my grandma Alice passed. I remember being in the church when I was at CCD. When I stood up with my hand out when doing the prayer before communion, I felt someone take my hand on my left. That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of this is pretty amazing. But so anyway, Kendra, I'm so sorry again for your loss. I know it's painful. I'm sorry that this is, I mean, these times are always painful, and it's super hard. But eventually the pain will subside to some degree. Now, sometimes we still will think back of our relatives and we'll have those painful, we'll have a little bit of a painful moment, but if we can remember these times that you're describing where it's like, hey, he's still here. He's still with me. He still can pray for me. Those are such comforting thoughts. And because that, he's there with God, he can pray for you, he can intercede for you, and he's right there with God. And I don't know, to me, that's an amazing thought. So anyway, hopefully some of that's helpful for you, Kendra, and I so much appreciate your post. I know you kept apologizing that it was long. I'm glad that you said everything that you said in there, because it was so important for all the context and everything that was going on. And remember, you're in our prayers, your family's in our prayers, and we love you. So yeah, keep coming on back. We love you, Kendra. And yep, you're in our prayers. So what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, do we have, Cherry's with us.
Cherry's here. Cherry's got a topic. Should we go through the list real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we'll go through the list. Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, and Cherry, who goes by the name of Key in this post. So give a what's up with your mom and dad, or a elbow cough.
Elbow cough.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an emoji? Oh yeah,
That's
yeah. It's a dab.
It's a dab.
Sorry, I thought
they call it an elbow
forgot
cough.
That was.
It's a dab.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's Val. Okay, cool. Well.
Okay.
You who have many names, and they all rock.
Ye who haseth many names.
You ye. Yeet.
Yeet. Wow.
So, and Princess posted the link. Oh, yep, it is Val now. Hey, how about that? So cool. All right. So this is from Cherry, aka Val, aka Key, aka all kinds of other names. And it's called Alone. So I will hand it over to Princess, who can read the topic.
Thank you.
You're
Another
welcome.
update. I'm having graduated from high school, I've been debating on what to pursue again. The choice was between music and science. I want to choose one that I can make a difference in. I guess that got my right ear so tired of me trying to make up my mind that it made a decision for me. So now I can't hear out of my right ear. If I'm unable to get my hearing back in that ear, then science will be what I pursue. That's completely fine, as I felt the world needs another Einstein. I think that the hardest part about becoming an influential and largely known figure is just the application. Anyone can become the next Einstein if they focus the energy in the right places. But if my hearing doesn't come back, and if I've already chosen science by that time that it does come back, I'll continue pursuing science. It'll be my calling. Science is fun after all. And with all the beauty I've witnessed in it, it wouldn't be shocking if I did decide to go with it. It's been there for me throughout my life, just as much, if not more, than music. So now this decision lies in fate's hands, where it needs to be out of mine, so that I don't keep playing hot potato with my interests. And now for the topic. Originally, it was something else, but I discovered that it contributes to this overall feeling I have, a deep, excruciating feeling that kills me inside. It's one I've dealt with all my life, and one that I've mentioned here several times. Of course, you can tell by the title that it's loneliness. Did you know that loneliness is more deadly than diabetes and is about the same as smoking a pack of cigarettes per day? It increases aging, increases chances of cancer, increases chances of gaining Alzheimer's, and similar symptoms. My love for science remains. Being rejected, outcast, or discarded from a group or circle of people that used to be related to survival. Before modern times, if you were kicked out of a circle, you most likely would have been left for dead. Survival depending on being with others, and while loneliness and being with others are two different things, loneliness can make someone seem cold, negative, socially awkward, and it's the hardest cycle for me to come out of. I can't. I don't think I ever can. Part of me wants it. I mean, it's essentially a ticket to an earlier death. Why would I pass up that whenever being alone is also something I constantly suffer from? I have almost no one. The people I do have either belittle me or go to know me no further than, hey, how are you? Okay, bye. Conversation, despite my efforts. It's come to a point where the pain is what makes me worth knowing. It's as if the only way for me to be seen is to bleed. To be seen, I need to hurt. If I'm not hurting, no one will listen. No one will care. No one will want to be around me. It's as if they think I'm nice from a distance, but only able to be loved from a distance. No one trusts me. No one wants me back. The people I thought were trying to regain contact with me abandoned me. The world abandoned me. I poured my insides out just trying to get someone to listen, but I might as well be talking to a thick brick wall. This was all for nothing. Their hearts full of suspicion, fear. But eventually you have to face the things you talk about. You can't let fear control your life, because then you are not living. Fear is. It is coming to a point where it becomes ignorance rather than a matter of protecting anyone. I can't be whole, but nor can anyone else. To be complete is to be blind, because there's always something. But it feels empty here in my mind. The void is my greatest fear, alongside the fears of the ones I love being in any kind of danger, of course. I can only bleed so much until it kills me. I can only be so lonely and so alone until I fade and become nothing. From Val.
Well, thank you for the topic. Wow, you've definitely gone to some great lengths in descriptive words here. It's quite beautifully written. I feel your pain as I read through this with Princess. So I really appreciate how deep you've gone here, because I know what that feels like. I know that feeling of loneliness, that feeling of fear, that feeling of just emptiness, where it's like, okay, in order for me to have anybody notice, there needs to be something wrong happening. And I know what that feels like, and I'm so sorry that you're in that place. But hopefully some of the stuff we have to say can help. I do want to give you some kudos, though. In your first paragraph, you were talking about pursuing science. If you're having a bit of trouble with an ear, you want to pursue music, but an ear's giving you trouble. Pursuing science is great, and in fact, music can be considered a form of science. I remember my science teacher, because I was really good at science throughout school, and one of my science teachers was like, "So what are you gonna do now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna major in music." She's like, "Oh, well, that's a science in and of itself." And it truly is. I mean, science and arts, I mean, all these things, They intertwine together, and there is art in science, and there is science in art, and all of that. So anyway, I really am proud of you for you know being able to say, even if that door closes, I know I've got something else I can pursue. So I think that's really awesome. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Ryan, because Ryan's amazing.
Oh, thank you. That's fine.
You knew that.
I appreciate that. Um, like Joe, I wanted to comment a little bit on the first part of the post. I think that's really, really awesome. And you're taking a bad thing and you're like, okay, well, there we go. That's my decision. Mm-hmm. I am curious what's going on with your ear. Just out of, I don't know, my own curiosity. I hope that you're all right. I hope that you're well. And that you didn't get like hit in the head or something. Because that would be sad. But anyways, yeah, if you want to tell us what happened there, that'd be cool. But yeah, I think you're making the right decision there. I mean, if it seems like your ear is going, obviously you have things like, I think it was Beethoven, or no, was it?
Yeah, Beethoven was deaf.
Beethoven was deaf, and he wrote music. Incredible. I don't know how you did that, but that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But of course, I think that it could be a very, very good sign that, it's like, hey, let's go into science. You like them both. And the world needs scientists. I mean, it's so true and obvious. The world absolutely does. So go for it, man. Just no idea, if I'm being honest. My right ear just decided to stop working. I tried to fix it today, but I just made it worse. Oh no. Have you seen anyone about this? I mean, obviously, if you consider being a scientist, I would also trust the knowledge of doctors and things like that. There might be something to that. It could be deteriorating tissues or something that could be prevented, and at least stopped it getting worse. So I would, I mean, if it were me, I would immediately see a doctor about that.
Yep, that wouldn't be a bad
actually,
idea.
That's not true. If it were me, I would put it off and be like, it'll fix itself, and then pray that it fixes itself, which is awful. Yeah. But I'm wrong. I know that I'm wrong in that, and I really should just go see a doctor. So if you have the opportunity, look it up online. Go ask a doctor, tell them what's been going on, and see if there's any sort of thing you can do, because obviously your body is important. And if you can help prevent some kind of deterioration, that's good. But on to the topic. I'm fascinated by this. And I'll tell you why. I think it's kind of amazing. I like the way that you've written this. It's like, and it's so true. You're feeling lonely, right? You have this loneliness. You don't have these close friends. You don't have anyone that seems to really desire to spend time with you. You're in this position where you're just like, I feel like I have nobody. And then the only way you can get anybody's attention is if something bad is going on, right? So you have to put yourself in that bad position where you don't want to be, right? You have to show your negative side. You have to, like, hey, kind of like you said, like you just cut yourself open and you start bleeding, right? It's like you have to do that in order to get any attention, for people to like show that they care about you. But you can only bleed so much before you're dead, right? You don't want to be in that position. You want to have these close friends that care about you even when you're not hurting, right? And you want to be able to have fun. And I think that's really important, right? You have your friends that, like, something goes wrong and they care a lot about you and they show that. But you also, and everybody wants to have those friends where it's like you can get around them and the whole day just flies by. It was awesome. You guys laughed so much. You came up with the most ridiculous inside jokes no one will understand ever, and Joe knows like what we're talking about. Because we have a ton of those, right? Yeah. And you want those people in your life. The interesting thing is those people don't tend to come. They can, and sometimes they don't. I guess they sometimes come from out of those situations where it's like things are breaking down in your life and they come out and step out of their way to help you, right? He usually is those people, but intermixed in those people are people who are simply just trying to look good. Intermixed in those people are people who care, but they only care when things start to break down. They don't care when things are okay. There are people who are attracted to that because of the drama. There are people who are attracted to that, again, like I said, because it makes them look good, or because they like to help solve other people's problems because that makes them feel good, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a different thing to be a friend that is just around that you're making the most ridiculous, silly inside jokes and stuff with. The kind of person that you just get around and you have fun together and nothing has to be going wrong for you two to just enjoy each other's presence, right? And so I totally understand, Jerry. Like, that is an honest issue, and I like that you've come to us for this because it is such a weird thing. I think a lot of people experience this, and it either solves itself or it never gets solved, right? A lot of times people don't know what to do in this scenario. Like, it's just how it is, and they don't have any friends in their life that they can just hang out with and have everything be positive. It has to be negative in some way, or they don't care. That sucks. Seriously, Cherry, that just sucks, right? I get it. That's like, yeah. So what do you do? You said, wait. Okay, yeah. So that was your last comment. Okay, so what do you do in this scenario? I think, obviously, there comes a point where you try to make new friends, right? And every time you make a new friend, it's like, it's okay for like a moment, and then it stops. It's like, how come all the friends that I'm making, it's just like, it's not there, right? Sometimes you have to take the approach of like, oh, there's more fish in the sea. You just have to keep on making friends until something finally clicks. And you might have to make 1,000 friends before one of them finally is like what you're looking for. And sometimes that's just it. Sometimes that's how that solves itself. People just get out there, they make more friends, they get involved in a new job or business or whatever, and all of a sudden they finally meet that person. And then for some reason they meet that one person, and then it becomes easy. They meet like a bunch of other people that are like that. And it's usually because of the atmosphere that's provided. It's interesting because in order to get the attention, it seems, you have to have something wrong. But in order to create good friendship, you have to have a good atmosphere. If you approach people with problems and they come in and step up, right, to help out, that's awesome, right? But it doesn't create inside of them, that desire to just be around you. Because what you end up doing is you attract the people who only want to be there when there's a problem. When you put your problems out on display for other people, right, what you're going to do is you're going to attract all the people that are going to be like, hey, yeah, it's a problem, I can jump in there. And they start to help solve it, and that's great. When you're having a good time and you're putting that on display, you're going to attract all the people that are up for having a good time, and they're just going to come and they're going to be there when you're having a good time. And when something goes wrong, they're going to be like, I don't know about that, man, I'm out. And when something goes right, the other people are going to be like, I guess my job's done here. See you later. Right, Cherry? Like, is that kind of how it is? So to find the people that'll be there in both places is difficult. It takes a real friend, right? It takes someone who's actually just like straight up, they are a positive person and they care when things go wrong, right? And it's hard to find those people. There are few. I think one of the best things you can do is start by being one of those people, right? Because just as I said, if you're kind of negative, you attract negative people. If you're positive, you attract positive people, right? If you're showing if you're showing your pain to get attention, you're gonna attract the people who give attention to pain, right? And if you're having a great time, you're gonna attract the people who just like having a good time. And in that same way, if you're a person who makes a great friend, and you're just being a good friend to people, you're going to attract the people who are responding to that, who are generally people who are really good friends. All right? You kind of attract what you are. They say opposites attract. That is true, but more so often similarities attract. Especially, I mean, you can see that throughout your life. That's just how it is. You can meet people and you're like, they're all friends, and you're like, you guys are all the same. Or it's like, you meet two brothers and they're like, you guys are like the same person. They're different, but the way you laugh is the same. There's so much about you that's the same, and that's because they grew up in the same environment, right? And so that makes them the same. So, and then they sometimes combat with each other, and they fight a little bit, but they also agree on most everything because they're like the same, and that's cool. They attract each other. They're like, yeah, we're really great together. We can get stuff done together because we're on the same page, and it's cool. So it's cool that similarities attract. So to be the person that's attractive will help attract people who are attractive, right? I mean, that happens. We see that a lot of times. We see that in school with like popularity. Oh, that's the popular group. They're all attractive, and they attract the attractive people. Here are the nerds. The nerds attract the nerds, right?
The band geeks attract the band geeks.
Yep, the band geeks attract the band geeks, right? This makes sense. We see this in society. In fact, we even see this with, like, if you go to a school, oh, that's the Asian group. Oh, that's the Mexican group. They're all together. We don't know why, because we do see some Asians that are friends with all the races, but for some reason, it tends to be like, oh, that's all the Asians. They just kind of get together because they feel similar. They feel comfortable with each other, even though they don't share any of the same interests. Like I've seen that so many times. It's like, we don't share any of the same interests. We're just together because we're Asian. Like, oh, you should maybe get outside of that. And they're like, yeah, I know. I know, it's awful. It happens. And that's kind of what happens to us. So we need to become the people that we want to attract. And sometimes that means doing things we're not used to doing, becoming someone that really tries really hard to set aside our bad habits, being a person who has, just pointed out all the negativity in the world. Because I used to do that like all the time, and I would attract negativity to myself. I was very thankful to have, God and stuff in my life to help shape me and form me into a different person, to start attracting people like that instead, right? I had a great mom, a great parent, great brother, and a lot of things to help me with that. And then I started to become like them. And I think that's really helpful, really good. So sometimes you just have to become the person that you're trying to attract so that people who are that way can feel comfortable with you and notice you and just cling to you because it feels comfortable to be with you because that's the kind of person they are. So that would be my best advice to start with. I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say.
You're talking about the different groups of people at the schools and everything like that. It reminded me of I heard this weekend I went to church in the Philippines, and the priest.
I love that you said that because it makes you sound
social distancing, right? So I can live stream. They're 12 hours apart from us.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, so the 10 a.m. Sunday morning mass is at 10 p.m. Saturday night. So I was like, it's perfect. So I go, and this this priest goes, "What's the most racially diverse animal?" And they're like, "I don't know." He's like the panda, because it's black.
Okay, what is it? The dog.
It's black.
The panda.
Yeah, it's black and it's white and it's Asian.
Okay. You're right. All right.
And I was like, that's good. But anyway, yeah. Because whatever. That's neither here nor there.
That's a funny joke.
When you were just talking about the different groups around. But but it was really true. I got to tell you, Cherry, one of the things again, I really thank you for your post. I thank you for the descriptive nature of it. I thank you for pouring out a bit of your heart, and sharing some of what's going on in your life with us, because it really is helpful for a lot of people, I think, because a lot of us struggle with maybe not this exact same thing, but a depth of emotion like this, where it's like, we're hit with something and we just get into that pit a little bit and we're like, what do I do? And so here's something, one of the things that happens for me, whether I'm with people or I'm by myself. Now, personally, I'm an introvert, so I prefer to be alone, right? Now, I'm fine being around other people. And honestly, like, I love spending time with my family. I love spending time with my friends. But no matter what, when I'm around other people, it, like, my batteries are being depleted, right? And introverts recharge their batteries by themselves. That's how we recharge our batteries. Now, an extrovert is different. An extrovert, when they're by themselves, their batteries are being depleted. And they need to have that interaction with other people in order to recharge their batteries, which is kind of an interesting,
that doesn't make sense to me because I'm not an extrovert.
Exactly, right? Not at all. But like, I know people who are people, and they have had such a hard time with this quarantine because they can't be around, the people, other people they care about. They're stuck around the same people all the time, and it's like stifling to them, like, but at any rate, here's something, whether I'm by myself or with other people, I've learned how to be content in all those different scenarios. And here's the key. It's how can you be thankful for that experience? That's the question to ask yourself. How can you be thankful for the experience of being alone? How can you be thankful for the experience of being around other people? How can you be thankful for the experience of being around somebody you don't really want to hang out with? Right? Like Joe had the greatest joke this morning. He got to spend the weekend with his in-laws. It's like, what's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted.
Yeah, I heard that one this morning. I was like, that's awesome. That's funny. I like it.
But he loves his in-laws. They're fine. Everything like that, right?
Yeah.
But at any rate, that's kind of just a joke. A lot of people, there's a real challenge there. So how can you be thankful for that time you have, whether you're alone or whether you're with other people or whether you're even with people that you don't want to be around? Like, how can I be thankful for the time when I'm with someone who's confronting me, like at a property inspection or something, and they're like all up in my face and they're yelling at me and they're not wearing a mask and they should be wearing a mask and they're breathing their, whatever germs all over me. And I'm like, I'm not like that, but in my mind, maybe. But how can I be thankful for that experience, right? There's a way to look at everything with gratitude. That's what we're talking about this week, all week on Double Cup of Joe shows. We're talking about gratitude and how powerful it is in your life. And if I think you've been on that show with us before, Cherry. I can't remember for sure. But if not, we do a 3-step process every day. And this encompasses a lot of stuff. We say, okay, first step is, what are you thankful for? Second step is, what are you looking forward to? And third step is, what are you doing today? Like, what action are you taking to move your life forward, right? And I know when I'm in a pit emotionally, one of those three things, at least one of those three things is missing right now. When I fall into an emotional pit, now this is me, this might not work for everybody, but this works like a charm for me, because when I can be thankful for stuff and I can be looking forward to stuff, but if I'm not taking action or preparing to take action, I can be in that pit of despair because I'm like, I'm thankful, I'm looking forward, but I'm not doing anything. So then I'm like, all beating myself up, right? Or I can be taking massive action. I can be working my took us off, and I can be looking forward to all kinds of stuff. But if I don't have gratitude about something, then I'm just like mindlessly, numbingly going through the motions and just like, I'm kind of grumpy about it, right? I'm just like working and grinding and grinding and grinding. And, I might be looking forward to something like getting this done. I want to get this done, doggone it, right? Because I'm not feeling the gratitude. And the same thing, if I'm not looking forward to anything, I might be thankful and I might be doing stuff. But if I don't have a forward focus, I'm just kind of in no man's land, right? I'm just kind of floating around aimlessly, But when I have all three of those things solid going in my brain, I'm not in that state. I'm not in that despair because I'm actually thankful, I'm forward focused, and I'm taking action. And that combination is so powerful, and that's why we do it every day on that show, because it's like, because that can set you up to dig you out of this pit. Now, sometimes, like, I can tell you what, I have been in a pit of despair, and there was nothing anybody could say to get me out of it. I've been there many, many times. I don't, and I don't know if that's you or not. I'm just telling you what I've experienced, right? I've been in that position where it's like, all right, I'm in a funk and nobody's getting me out. Doggone it. I'm stubborn about it. I'm stubborn about this funk I'm in, right?
I've been there many times.
Yeah, well, yeah. And people come in and try, and it's hilarious to me because they try and get me out of it. And I'm like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes I've been in that position where I'm just like, wow, that was actually really good. Yeah, nice try. I'm not getting out. Like that. I mean, like if I was the kind of person that would get out because someone else said something that was really smart and probably true and very logical, nice, like really, that was a pretty good one. But no, I'm cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so Akil, yeah, the brooding phase is definitely something. It's something that we all experience. We all go there from time to time. And the question I have to ask myself at any point in time is this thing that I'm putting myself through, is it productive for me? Is it helping me? Is pursuing some form of pleasure, is that productive for me? Is that going to be good for me? Or is that just going to further an addiction to that pleasure? Whatever it is, whether it's eating or it could be anything. Shopping. I don't really have a shopping thing. I kind of detest it, actually.
Yeah, but eating.
Eating, yes. I do enjoy eating a lot. But, people have all kinds of different things that they deal with, right? So and brooding can be an addiction, like Akil was just talking about. That phase of brooding, we can get into that and we can stick ourselves there on purpose and be there. Akil says eating is productive. Yes, it's productive in adding body weight to you, for sure. There comes a point though where it becomes gluttony. But anyway, so Cherry, wherever you're at, I mean, if you feel sincerely stuck and you're looking for a way out, I'll tell you, run that 3-step process in your head. Run that 3-step process of, what are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? What are you doing? What action are you taking? Or at least if it's too late in the day and you're about to go to bed and you're not going to do any more work the rest of the day, I understand that. There comes a point in the day when I have to shut off. I can't. I just nope. I got to take a nap or something, in order to come back and do something else. Like I got to be done working for a while. And that's fine. But when you're in that moment and you're not taking action, are you planning an action for later? Or can you put something in your book to do or whatever? But anyway, if you sincerely want to get out, try that. See what happens. If you're brooding, I understand. It's okay. I've been there. And when you're ready, try the 3-step process. Because it can help. Absolutely. And another thing on the ear thing, I had this experience with your deafness in one ear. Years ago, when Ryan and I when we did our first musical project together, I'll never forget this experience. It was crazy. We had just gotten this project handed to us, and it wasn't long after that. I was working at a car wash, and it was winter time. Right? So think about that. You're working at a car wash. There's water everywhere. There's ice everywhere. It's super duper cold, and you're wet and cold all the time, right? That's a recipe for being sick, right?
Yeah, and cracked skin.
Yeah.
And all sorts of stuff, yeah.
Yep. It's amazing. It's amazing. Akil, that's very wise. It's fine taking a break. Do not take it as giving up. Absolutely. Taking a break is not the same as giving up. But a car wash in the winter, it was terrible. Like you're walking. I remember one of my coworkers actually rode the bus to work. And the bus stop was like, a half a mile away. And so he'd have to walk with his pants all wet through the snow. And by the time he got on the bus, his pants were frozen solid, And so they're like, so they're all crispy, crunchy pants. Like,
poor guy.
I know. I felt so bad for him. But here's what happened. This is what developed, right? So it's winter. It's cold. I'm working at a car wash, and all of a sudden, my ear, I can't remember which ear it was. It was one of them. All of a sudden, I couldn't hear out of it. And then every once in a while, I could hear out of it, but it was like a different pitch as my other ears. So like all the time, I had this like chorus effect.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this. You're like, man, it's like a flanger going on.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's like weird. Like this weird multi-pitch. Like one side of my head is one pitch, the other side is another. Like, and I'm just listening to somebody talk to me, and it's like this, and I'm like, what is this? This is so weird. And we're trying to work on a recording. We're trying to produce music, right? We just got this project, and it's like, no, my ears don't work. Like, what is wrong? But anyway, so I go to the doctor, and I did not have health insurance at the time, so it was really expensive. I had to borrow money from my parents to go to the doctor because I had no health insurance. This was before it was mandatory, right? And so I go to this doctor, and he's like, oh, yeah, you're just congested. I'm like, what? No, like, I must have an ear infection. Like, it's, like, all weird. Like, I can't hear out of it most of the time. And then the other times, it's like this, I got this weird pitch thing going on, and it's all wobbly and flangy in my ear. Like, there's something wrong with my ear. He's like, no, you're just congested. Here, take this. And he gave me a decongestant. And I took it, and lo and behold, gone. It's all back to normal. And so now I know when I start to feel my ears hurt, rather than immediately start to think, oh my gosh, I must have an ear infection, something's wrong with my ears, I immediately take a decongestant and it goes away. Because I know that, our nasal passages are connected to our ears. Like all that up there is all connected. And when we get congestion, and right now is prime time, spring, early summer, pollen's out there. If you've got allergies like me, I'm a mess when I have to work outside. But yeah, so when my ears start giving me problems, I usually take a decongestant, and it solves the problem. So, Cherry says I put hydrogen peroxide in my ear, but that just made it start to hurt and ache. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. It's a weird thing, but it sounds to me like it might be congestion. But like what Ryan was saying, I would definitely go to a doctor and ask him about it. ask a doctor because they're going to be able to point you in the right direction. That was the weird, like when this doctor said that, I was like, no way. No way. It can't be that simple. Like, just what? Take some Sudafed. Like, that's it? Like, yep. Now, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. My medical advice is the same as Ryan's. Go see a doctor. But I'll just relate my experience. When I had this ear problem, it turned out that it was congestion. And it was the weirdest thing, but it was true.
Yeah. I've had experiences with that too, and especially when with airplanes, and being sick. If you're ever sick, they say don't go on an airplane, but I did, because I had no choice, and I mean I was gonna fly. I had the plane already just set. So, yeah, it like your ear hurts for the entire flight, and you get off, and it still hurts, and you're like, I thought it didn't get any pressure. Now it's stuck pressurized. What happened? And yeah, it's a nightmare. But one time I was traveling. So I lived in Colorado, and we lived like near the mountains, and I was traveling up through the mountains. And while I was like, it's not even like I was taking a plane. I was just going up and up with my car. And at some point my ear just, started aching. And this is the weirdest thing ever. It was aching for like probably like an hour and a half straight as I was going through the mountains. And I was like, man, I can't get rid of it. Like nothing I'm doing, I'm swallowing, right? Because they say that helps. And it does, because it causes pressure to happen in your sinuses. But nothing I'm doing is helping. And then, so I rolled down my window, and it's snowing outside. And so I was like, let's get some cold air on it. Let's see if that helps at all. And it wasn't really helping. A snowflake drifted into my ear and landed inside my ear. And the drop of water touched my eardrum. And my ear went this squeaky, high-pitched.
What?
And it was, I'm not even kidding, it did that. Maybe even took like a full minute of that. And it went down and down and down and down. And then my ear was completely fine for the rest of the day. No pain, no problems. I was like, okay. But yeah, ears are weird. The way they work is amazing. But yeah, the pressure really does. I mean, it's a real thing. Obviously, we're not doctors. You should go see a doctor to see if they might tell you it's just a pressure thing. That'd be awesome. It was a special snowflake. Sure was a special snowflake.
Yeah.
But
anyways. Do you get that like when you're congested, you have that ear thing where you get the squeakies in your ears? You get that issue? Yeah, I thought I had that the other day, but it was just I was playing Minecraft and there were dolphins chasing me.
That's hilarious too. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
But at any rate, brilliant. Cherry, I'll tell you, hopefully some of this is helpful. And honestly, when I step number one for a reason, gratitude, right? There's something in your life you can be thankful for. I promise. Even if it's just that you have a pillow, or that you got to drink some water, or a light switches, or you have an electronic device, and you can be, you know what? You can be thankful for Don't Worry Wednesday.
Yeah. You can be thankful for us.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for this show. I'm thankful I get to look at Ryan's owl collection back there. And my youngest son gets to say, I've got more Squishmallows than Ryan does.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah. He's got 6 now. He got, for the end of the school year, he got another one as a present.
Nice.
Yep. So now he's got 2 narwhals, 2 owls, a zebra, and a dragon.
That rocks.
Yeah.
Does he have a favorite?
The newest one, whatever it is, whatever one.
Okay. Nice. That's good.
And they're all different sizes. He's got the extra large. There's 5 size. Well, wait, yeah, there's 5 sizes.
Yeah. There's like.
He's got.
There might even be more, but yeah, there's at least 5.
I know he's got one of every size.
Oh, okay.
So
So I believe there's a 6, an
extra.
8, a 16, and then a 32, and maybe like a 12 or something. I don't know. Anyways, it's hard to remember.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a real simple thing. I mean, just finding something simple to be thankful for. You know, you can be thankful for a squishmallow. I'm thankful for bongos.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for my
sweet.
fake bookshelf.
Don't tell people it's fake, man.
They know. They know.
They're gonna start thinking we're fake. We're not even
obvious real. It's fake.
In this lighting, it is. It's a slightly different. It's brighter than it used to be.
Oh,
when
sorry.
it's dark, you can't tell.
I can fix that. Wait, watch this. Watch this. There.
Yeah, you can't even tell that's a fake bookshelf.
You can't see. It's not a fake bookshelf now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, huh?
There.
That might be a little better.
There you go. No, now it looks like you're in a movie, man.
Oh.
The way the light contrast works.
Anyway, whatever. We'll get it figured out at some point.
Yeah.
We'll dial it in.
For the question and for the the topic there, Jerry. We appreciate it. And honestly, it's hard to go through this. And like I said, it's something that you go through and hopefully it gets solved, right? It's usually just by finding the right people. And sometimes you have to be the right person for the other people to find you.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I was going to say, and, it kind of, Joe touched on this with personality. There's all sorts of different personalities out there. And some people really like being around people. Some people don't care that much. Some people aren't both. They kind of go back and forth. And that's cool.
Cherry said, I'm an ambivert, I think. I'm an ambivert of sorts. I love being around other people because it's a distraction from what I feel inside. But when I'm alone, I get to be myself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing, there's not. I don't think it's necessarily healthy to get rid of the desire to be around people, right? People are important. Mm-hmm. Period. Right? People are an important part of our lives in many ways than we even know. So I wouldn't suggest trying to cut that off, right? It's important to desire people. That's a good human trait. It's a natural trait of humanity that is naturally good. But there can be a relaxation of that, rather, like toning it down. So obviously what I'm trying to say here is try to enjoy yourself more. If you can learn to enjoy yourself more, your desire for, or your feeling of loneliness will go away, at least to some degree, right? Not entirely, but if you can really just sit there and enjoy who you are as a person, and now that takes work, right? It's not like you can just flip a switch and be like, oh, I enjoy myself now. It's an attitude change. It's something you have to remind yourself to do. It's something you have to think. Joe was talking about being thankful. Try to find things that you're thankful about yourself. Mm-hmm. Notice the good things in you. Like, yes, of course, we always notice the bad things. And like, that's what I got to fix. I got to fix this. I got to fix that. I got to fix this. And it's hard, mm-hmm. right? But if you take some time to look at yourself and go, oh, I like this about me. Reflect on that. Just pay attention to that for a second and be like, I'm thankful that I'm that way. Obviously not to just become egotistical or boast about yourself, but to spend time with yourself in an enjoyable format, right? Play games by yourself and enjoy yourself. Enjoy your mind in the way it works. One of the things that I really enjoy is when I have a problem, and it might not even be a real problem, but it's a problem that I can solve. It could be a math problem. It could be a puzzle, right? It could be anything, right? I could theoretically create like, okay, how does light work when it comes into this scenario? And I'm like thinking through it, and I'm thinking through the processes, and I'm like, well, light works like this. So that logically it could probably do this. And let's see here, and just thinking about those things, I enjoy doing that. And it allows me to enjoy myself because I'm problem solving just completely on my own. And then I appreciate myself in that. So if you have alone time, which obviously if you're lonely, you should probably have alone time, spend it in ways that you enjoy yourself. Try to find those things. Because that will help you with the feeling of loneliness. It will help take that feeling and sedate it a bit. You'll still desire people, right? That's natural. That's good. But it will also help you endure longer periods of time without human interaction. It'll help you become more of an attractive person to other people as well. They say many times when you stop looking for, and like this happened to me also, you stop looking for relationships, all of a sudden you become what, like, everybody wants to have a relationship with you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I'm not gonna do the whole like relationship with women thing ever again. And then all of a sudden all these women are like, oh my gosh, you're so cute, can we like hang out and stuff? You're like, what the heck is going on? When I was looking for it, it wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's because you've learned to enjoy yourself. You've learned to not chase. You've learned to just be yourself and be confident in yourself. And that's super attractive. So if you're trying to find people to be around that are actually just real friends, that aren't just problem solvers, right? People who can, problem solve, but also have a good time. You're going to want to be an attractive person to help find those people. And so being more secure in yourself, being more confident in yourself, enjoying yourself creates that confidence that people are attracted to. So ultimately, I would say that's my final advice. So I hopefully that is of help to you. I understand it's difficult, but if you want change, if you really want things to change, you have to endure the difficult. You have to do the things that are not easy, right? Mm-hmm. And you know this, Jerry. You've come a long way already since we've known you.
Yeah.
So I have full confidence in you. It's just a matter of, kind of like what Joe said. I know that so many times in my life I like refuse change just because I'm stubborn, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. That was a really good point, but I'm not gonna change just because like I didn't come up with it. I didn't come up with it, so I'm not gonna do it. Like I'm not gonna be the kind of person that changes because someone else says something. That doesn't make me feel good. That just makes them look good.
Right?
No.
Like, I'm not giving them the glory for that. Like, heck no.
Yeah. Like, geez. If I'm gonna solve this, I'm gonna solve it by myself. Right?
and then you secretly take their advice, and you're like, well, I'm not telling
them. You're like, I can't believe I came up with that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, yeah.
Oh yes, it's all good. Cherry, we love you, and like Ryan was saying, full confidence, because we've seen you grow. We've seen you grow so much, over the time that we've spent with you, and so we know that all these situations that you're in, they're just bumps along the road, and these challenges are stepping stones for you in the greatness that you can become. They really are. Every time you get hit with this challenge, and with any challenge whatsoever, it's an opportunity. And when you can learn to see those challenges as opportunities for growing moments, you'll start to look forward to them. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a challenge. Good. Yep. I'm ready to grow some more. I know it's not comfortable, but that's okay. Because on the other side, challenges like this are going to be nothing. It's going to be a piece of cake because I went through it. And, we're so proud of you, and we're so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for the topic. Yeah. And, thanks for being here. All of you, thanks for being here. It's we're to that point where it's about the 2-hour mark. And so it's time to shut her down for tonight. Akil, you said we'll gain the thing we wanted when we stop looking for it. I believe in you.
It's time to get our crispy crunchy pants on and go sit.
Hot dog and a stick man with the crispy crunchy pants. Cherry, you are so welcome. Thank you so much for posting. Thanks for being here. Thank everybody, all you guys in the chat. Akil, thank you, Kendra, for the topic. Thank you, all the lurkers, for being here. Thank you, Jesse, for not being able to make it, so I got to do the first attempt at producing a show and going through all the difficulties that happened. Hi, Rule.
Hey.
Yep. And I'm so proud of all you guys. So thank you guys for being here. Come back tomorrow in 7 short hours. Joe and I will be on Double Cup of Joe show. We're talking about gratitude when times are good. And I know you would think it's easy to be thankful when times are good. It is easy to be thankful when times are good.
Yeah, but if you don't sit there and appreciate it, you've lost
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't do it though. You've
lost your
point.
Habit. Right.
Exactly.
That's
it's like,
yeah.
Times
Everyone
are good.
always prays to
Everything's
God when
all
they're in
good.
trouble.
Yeah. Times are great.
But when everything's fine, they don't pray. Right.
Exactly.
It's one of those things.
Exactly. We're never thankful for those things because it's just like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. All right.
But at any rate,
It's a
thank
good
you guys.
topic.
Yes, thank you guys for being here. Come on tomorrow morning, and then also come back on Wednesday. We'll have Don't Worry Wednesday, and it will probably run much more smoothly once Jesse comes back. So we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys next time. And I have my finger on the button, so I get to cut myself off if I want to.
Nice.
We're forcing you to break your lurking habits. You like it.
Yeah.
You can say you don't like it, but we know deep down you like it. But all right. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.